Hey there everyone, myself Pawan and you're watching Optimistic Coder, and in this video we are going to discuss about identifiers. Now I know most of the people might say that they know identifiers already, but if I ask you one question, that whether this particular line of code that is popping up right now is right or wrong, whether it will compile or run. So if your answer is no, that particular line of code will not run and it will fail or it will throw you an error, then I would recommend you to watch this video till the end because you need some clarification in identifiers. So before that, if you are new to this channel, consider subscribing because I'm coming up with new videos every week. So let's get started. So by the name itself, it is very clear that identifiers means identification. So before getting into identifiers and all those technical stuffs and jargons, we can just take an example so that we will get better clarity about it. So how you identify your friends by his name, and how anybody else is identifying you by your own name. So the same way as other people are identifying you by your name and you are identifying other people by their own name, in the same way, Java is also having identifiers. Those are for class, function, variables, and labels. Now, so those are given by us as a programmer, and even we already have some predefined classes also that is also having some names. So that name is what we call as identifiers. So it's very simple and easy to understand that identifiers are those, or we can say in other words that class name, function name, variable name and label names are all called to be as identifiers. Now let's have a look in Eclipse and we can have understand that how many identifiers do we have in a simple small program. Okay, so let's first create a Java project, and within that we will create a class. So let's create. Okay, so go to Java project, click on next. I will give the project name as demo, click on finish, no, and here we have Java demo project. Go to source and create a class, and I will create the class name as demo, check marks this public static void main, click on finish. Okay, so we have this particular code, and I will just write one integer variable I, and that's it. That's our program. Now let's identify how many identifiers do we have in this program. So as you can see, as I said, class name, function name, variable names and label names are called to be as an identifier. So here demo is a class name which is an identifier. Function name main is also an identifier. Variables are also qualified as identifiers. So here is the array name, that is argument, that is also an identifier. Here one more thing, that is string. It is, although it is a predefined class, but it is also an identifier here. So all total in this small program we have 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 identifiers in all total. So that's the way how you should identify an identifier. And second thing that you need to understand here is, when you are giving any name to an identifier, there is some set of rules you need to follow. It's actually as same as a roll number or an ID that is being assigned to a student. Now for example, if you are going into or enrolled in a computer science department in this year 2020, then for example your roll number will be like CS 2010. 10 is the sequence. So where CS is your department, 20 represents what's the year you joined, and the rest two numbers just say the sequence of your coming in the sorting format. So that is your roll number, and that is unique in whole college. By that they can identify you uniquely also. And how do they do that? They are using a certain set of rules, and by those rules they are following it, and then they are creating identifiers or IDs, sorry, not identifiers, IDs. So in the same way in Java also we have some set of rules, and that we need to understand and we need to follow those only. Now first thing is, we can use all the characters from small letter A to small letter Z, and all the characters ranging from capital A to capital Z, all the numbers from 0 to 9, and also we can use two special characters, that is $sign and underscore. Instead of these, any other character will not be used in creating or declaring any identifiers. So if you want to create an identifier, if you want to give a class name, function name, you need to mention these things only. You should not give any other character, throw you a compile time error. So let's see that also in Eclipse. So first, if I just here declare int as I. Now if I give here total, it's fine. If I give total underscore marks, that is also fine. But if I give total percentage marks, that's not valid because that is having some other meaning in programming. It is a modulo sign. Even I can't use @ sign also, plus I can't use tilt symbol also. So these are the symbols that we can't actually use it. Okay, so even if you are not using all those, one more thing that you need to understand here, that is the third one, is you cannot use the numbers. Now for example, if I write total 1 2 3, if I write that, that's a valid variable name and a valid identifier. But if I write it as 1 2 3 total, that's not valid, because identifiers, in the rules in declaring an identifier, the third one comes is you cannot give any identifier a name that is starting from numeric. So that's the third rule that you need to understand. So that's all about the identifiers that you need to understand in general. Now people might get confused in some point or in some places that, for example, if I declare here int, and if I again declare here int and then I write it 0, so is that a valid identifier? No, that's not a valid identifier, because the name that you are declaring here is actually a reserved keyword. So here int is a reserved keyword that is for integer type, and you cannot use that same name, exactly same name. So that's why we are getting an error. Now if you change a small thing, that is just to make the I as capital, the error will be gone. Or if you use, for example, class, even that is not valid, because class is already a predefined keyword. So because of that, cannot use that. But instead we can use as class. That is valid and we can use it. So that's the whole thing that you need to understand. And the fourth point, the last one is, as I said, we cannot use predefined keyword. Okay, that's fine. So if I write here as int string, and if I assign a value 0, is it valid? Yes, it is 100% valid. The reason is it is a predefined class name, and predefined class name is not a keyword. Try to understand that thing, that even though that is a predefined class name, but it is not a reserved keyword. Reserved keywords are always been highlighted by some colors, or they will be bold than the usual other words. And I write it as system.out.print, and if I mention as string and I run the program, you could see the value is 0. So it works perfectly fine. Is it correct syntactically? Yes. Can it run the program? Yes. But is it recommended? I will say no. It's actually not recommended, and we should never use a predefined class names as variable name and all, because it creates a lot of confusion and code readability will be reduced a lot. So because of these reasons, we don't use any kind of predefined class names in our newly creating function names, or if you are creating new variables, we don't use those names. And one more thing is we can use infinitely long variable names. So variable name can have any length. It can have infinite length, but we doesn't recommend that. We should keep the name of any function, class or variable, or even the label, as small as possible and even meaningful, so that the code readability becomes good and any other programmer can also work on your code. So these are the major points that you need to understand in identifiers. So that's all in today's videos, guys. I hope you liked the video. If you liked it, please hit like and subscribe to my channel, and don't forget to leave a comment below. I will see you in the next video. Till then, bye bye.